Well, hello once again. I'm back faster than ever expected. I called the ISP the other night and I said, hey, look, you guys have really strung me out long enough. I'm sick and tired of the whole thing. I can't take it anymore. This up and down 30, 40 times a day with our internet is not hacking the program. We're paying for something we're not getting. Well, this guy on the other end, he was a straight shooter. He said, let me tell you what's going on, John. He said, where you live, the area where you live, it has some serious infrastructure problems. I'm going to tell you straight up. And it's going to take us a while to fix them. He said, we're working diligently on it, but he couldn't tell me the exact specifics. He said, all I know is that there's some serious infrastructure problems, and we are working on them. And I said, okay. He said, just give us a little more time. I said, all right, okay, I'll give you some more time. The guy was just a straight shooter all the way. Well, it was about an hour and a half later. All of a sudden, we're talking at night, about 8 o'clock maybe. I was uploading a video, trying to get it uploaded. After an hour and a half, it had only uploaded 46%. It was only a 30-second video. I wanted to send a 30-second video to Brendan. Anyway, after an hour and a half, it was only at 46%. I said, God, this is just too much. Well, all of a sudden, at 8 o'clock at night or 8:30, I can't remember what it was after dark, that thing took off like a striped ape, and I'll tell you what, it just went supersonic. And I was able to send Brendan the 2 videos I had for him, and I told him, I said, this thing has taken off suddenly, it's just gone supersonic. It's just amazing, and it's worked fine ever since. Now, how long that'll last, I do not know, but I'm not going to waste time, switching to another ISP right now if they have possibly fixed the issue. We'll soon find out. Anyway, enough of that. For those of you who told me to go ahead and change the capacitors out on our credit unit, it has been done, ladies and gentlemen. I figured we'd be doing that anyway, but I wanted to, there's not much voltage here. What are we talking, 25 volts, maybe 50 at the most. And those caps were in very good condition, by the way. They were excellent. They just had a little dust on them. But they did test at 50% of their rated value, so they had to go. Anyway, everything's been done. There is a resistor on this thing. It's 1,000 ohm, but it's 1 watt, but it is good to go. It looks like a 1 watt. It might be a 2. I can't remember. I'd have to check the parts. But anyway, it's good to go all the way. Matter of fact, that thing was right on the money. So we're done with that for now. And there's a couple of issues that Brendan and I are working out down in this area here. I may have to go back and look at Chris Cuff's video on his little unit and see what his looks like. There may be a part missing. I don't know. That's what's fun about working on something you know nothing about. You've never worked on one before. Do we get scared? No, we don't get scared. We hang in there. We make it happen. If we can't make it happen, well, there's always the trash man. I just got done painting this bar. Oops, don't fall on me, big boy. Don't fall on me. I just got done sanding it all down and priming it. I'm waiting for it to dry. And come on, focus in there. Okay. And after it dries, what this is it goes underneath. It's pretty dry right now, but on the inside where I'm not going to touch is still drying. This thing here will go up underneath here. There's some screws up underneath here, and we will fasten it up like that. Okay, so there'll be a gap along it. It'll be painted black, and this is the edge that the rubber gasket goes on. That goes all the way around this jukebox for the lid to sit down on, so it doesn't get all scratched up and busted up on the bottom. So this thing's got screws underneath. It'll be fastened up just like that after I get it painted black. Well, while that bar dries, I just painted it black. While it dries, I paint it flat black, and then after it's done, I go over it with a coat of satin clear. And that way you get a couple layers of paint, and I don't want it to be super shiny and all that. I want it to just, I'm a satin kind of guy. Satin paint and brass nails and screws. That's me, and nuts. That's me. Anyway, I want to show you a little trick here. You'll remember the last time this thing was on the bench, I took a paintbrush, smaller than this one of course, with some lacquer thinner, and I cleaned up these wafer switches, got rid of all the tarnish off these contacts best I could. There's another little trick that'll help you out, and that is called a pencil eraser. Ever heard of a pencil eraser? Well, there they are. It's just a standard pencil with an eraser down the center. It looks just like a regular old lead pencil. And these things here, sometimes you have a little bit of a trouble getting some tarnish off these little wafer slides. You take a little, just gently does it back and forth with a pencil eraser, and you can shine that stuff up pretty darn nice too. It won't make it look like new, but it, it does the job with minimal amount of effort. Then when you're all done now, keep in mind that this is an oil-based eraser. Won't probably hurt anything, but if you want, you can go ahead and get all of it off there. Blow it off with air and then wipe it off with a brush, maybe with some lacquer thinner. I'm going to come back once I get the old amplifier all recapped and everything. I'm going to come back. I'm going to put some dielectric grease on here and here and try to squeeze some in down here on the wafer and some down here also on the wafer switch. I don't know how well I'm going to do. There's also a wafer switch in the corner over here. I want to put a little bit of that dielectric grease on, but that'll be last. If I put it on now, I'll be putting my hands in it and everything, reaching around, trying to get to the capacitors and all that with my soldering iron. We'll do that last. Okay, look at that. See, I've already dropped my tweezers. Okay, next step, I'm just going to go through and replace all these capacitors. Then when I'm done, I'll come back. By the way, before I get started, I'm going to use, I have an entire box of electrolytic capacitors that I've been building up over the years. Something everybody should do. You see a deal on some electrolytic capacitors, some guy wants to get rid of a bunch of them on eBay, and they seem to be okay, and the guy's got a good reputation. Go ahead and pick them up. Pick up 6 or 7 extra of this or that, and over a period of a year or 2 or maybe even 3, you'll have a nice big old stash of low voltage and high voltage, low value and high value, in between, all that stuff, okay? Alright, back to what we were doing. I'll tell you what, as I go through this amplifier and I run into little issues, maybe I'll stop and show you how to possibly take care of them. Maybe. Now, for instance, I have a capacitor on the top here, which will be easy to get to. But look at that one way down in there. It's going to be a real bear. Now, these have already been changed out. Someone has recapped this entire amplifier at some point in the past. So how do we get way down in there? That can be a real booger. Got to get it off. He put it in there backwards to where you can't read the value. The value should be on top like this one is right here. But, what do you do? Well, you look around and you use a little bit of common sense, and you'll find that this board is fastened in by these 2 screws from the opposite side of the chassis coming up this way. I took the 2 screws out. Bingo! All you gotta do is lean it to the side. Easy can do. It turns out, ladies and gentlemen, that we're having a problem here with this lower pawl. We have the top pawl that engages this credit sprocket that keeps it from going backward. That's all that thing does, nothing else. This is your main drive pawl here. This thing engages with the teeth and causes the entire thing to spin. But as you can see, the pawl is out of alignment with the gear. So when I shove this thing, I put grease on it and everything, but when I shove it over, it doesn't want, it'll go all the way over, but it doesn't want to stay. It keeps sliding back. This spring, by the way, is designed to keep the pawl downward, not to keep it left or right. Just to keep pressure on it downward. If I lift this pawl up, you can see it keeps it downward like that. So, see, I can get it over there, but she just doesn't want to stay. So what's the problem? Well, I figured it out. It took a little while, but I figured it out. There is a keeper on the end of this shaft right here that's missing. Once I get that thing in line, you can see the slot. Can you see the slot at the end there that a keeper has to fit into? Right there. The E-clip is on. It was a 5/32. That's what size it took. And I, put a little grease on the end there too. I want this. I'll probably add a little more oil over to this side before it's over. This is a very critical part. Now, what's supposed to happen? Let me hold this camera as still as I can. What's supposed to happen is when this cancel solenoid goes in and out like this, okay, it's supposed to cause that pawl to go up and engage that sprocket right, where are we? Engage that sprocket right there, and then you'll hear a clicking sound when it does, and then when I release that cancel solenoid, it'll rotate this entire thing around, this credit unit around. So let's see if it does that. Now listen for the click. There it is. Now let's see if it rotates the sprocket. There it is. Ooh, Mr. Fix-It Man here. Getting back to this credit unit one more time. There's something that's been bothering me ever since I first started looking at this. This little Dumaflachi here, you know, it goes up and down. We all know that already. It flips up this way and it flips down that way. But what happens when that thing flips up? Yeah, it goes up and you put it in a coin and it comes up and it goes like that. Well, is there a contact that's made or broken or something like that? What exactly happens when this thing goes back and forth? Well, I think I figured it out. When it's down, can you see that little round contact there right in the center of the curve? See that little black round contact down there? That's the contact that's made when that thing lifts up. You can see it right. Let me see if you can see it right down in there. See that little contact? Just like all the contacts we've been cleaning. And what happens is this thing comes up, it makes contact between this portion of the clip. There must be another contact down in there somewhere we can't see. It comes across and it closes with this one here. Let's get the light down here. No, it doesn't help very good, but so what happens is, now picture another set of contact over here coming across and making with that one there when I lift up this this thing. Here we go. Come on now. See it? Whatever is attached to this piece of metal right here going down in, it's a flat piece of metal, that same width as this, I guess. It's coming across and making contact. And then when it's pushed down, the whole thing is reset and the contact is no longer made. I'm going to have to get down in there and clean that up a little bit. The very best I can. I'm not exactly certain how I'm going to do that. I may have to wind up resorting to pipe cleaners with maybe with lacquer thinner or something. Well, as hoped, the pipe cleaners are in fact doing the job. See how it's already beginning to shine up down in there? I used the lacquer thinner on the pipe cleaner. Look how much shinier that is down in there. Looks a lot cleaner. We have 5 more of those to go, and I tried my very best to get on the contact on the opposite side also that touches that. Just gave it a good scrub, and I went down from the top like so. Then I went up from the bottom like so. Okay, I just kept at it till I got a nice shiny looking contact here, and hopefully the other one will be, you know, fairly clean as well. Well, we're down to only having 3 capacitors that need to be changed underneath. They're located underneath this thing, which is going to be lots of fun. But this is what we've replaced already. We've replaced every paper cap and every electrolytic that was in there, whether it looked good or tested good, didn't matter, out they went. And we'll go ahead and replace those 3. The only cap I'm not going to be able to replace is a 1 microfarad right here. I tested it, it tests good, and I just don't have a 1 microfarad on hand, but it tests good, so we're going to go ahead and be required to leave that. So as soon as I get done with the 3 capacitors, in the next video we'll go ahead and start on the resistors, which will be a really fast thing. The capacitors have been a real pain trying to get to them, but we got it done. And maybe we'll have a few additions to our boneyard over here. So let's end this video right here. I wanted to get to the sandblasting, can't do it. I got another video I have to finish up. So you'll be getting a couple of videos here, hopefully by this weekend. So until next time, this is John.